This is October 16th, 2012. This is Stephen Hewer with Synergistic Nutrition. I'm a degreed naturopath with 22 years of clinical experience in counseling people using nutrition and herbology and holistic healing technologies, all in an effort to guide people back to great health. Today's topic will be talking about the causes of cardiovascular disease. This is a subject that most people are familiar with. We've heard the statistics of how many people die of heart disease. It's probably third or fourth on the list of the number of degenerative diseases that people die from. So it's important to give it a little bit of attention so that you can have a different perspective than perhaps you've yet entertained. So always in the medical profession, they've been blaming the cholesterol that's found in the lining of the arteries as the causative factor in arterial plaque, when there is a much different story to this than that conclusion that needs to be heard. The cholesterol, 80% of the cholesterol in your body is produced by your liver, and every cell wall requires it. Your brain is largely composed of it. Your glands are protected by it. Your steroid hormones are made from it. Obviously, the body needs this as a building block for the body to survive and thrive. This is the thing that needs to be understood, is that the body is already made to function perfectly. And anything that's going on that creates a symptom label is really only the body intelligently responding to a given stressor or set of stressors. So in the instance of plaque buildup in the arteries, there's several reasons as to why plaque builds up in the arteries that needs to be considered here. And you can read them all in the body of this newsletter. One is the topic of dairy. So milk back 200 years ago was derived from cows that were grazed on grass, and people thrived on raw milk, raw butter, raw cheese. And it was a health food, and it was so beneficial to people's health that doctors would prescribe it. In the early 1900s in the United States, it was almost a panacea. People were recommended by medical doctors to get onto raw milk and have it as a fast and drink nothing but raw milk for the course of 6 or more weeks, and kidney problems would go away, high blood pressure would go away, obesity would go away, all kinds of ailments would clear up just as a result of being on a raw milk fast from healthy grass-fed cows. So it's apparent that raw milk from grass-fed cows, by and large, is a health food for the vast majority of people. Now, you come to modern times and you have profit becoming the motive for all business endeavors, including the dairy industry. And instead of focusing upon the virtuous goal of producing a high-quality food for people to consume, the goal became, what can make us the most money? That became the actual mantra for most businesses, unfortunately, in this culture that we currently live in. As a consequence, with regards to dairy or milk, instead of giving you raw grass-fed milk, which has always been, as I said, a superior health food for the vast majority of people, the dairy industry people decided that there would be more profits if they could pasteurize the milk, thus killing the microorganisms that would naturally cause it to culture into soured milk, thus giving it a longer shelf life as a sweet tasting milk. And along with this, they also decided to homogenize the milk. So rather than letting the fat separate from the milk as it used to in the old days, they've decided to blend it so that the fat molecules are so small that they remain permanently suspended or homogenized in the milk. And in that process of pasteurization, you actually destroy so much of the milk's inherent structure that you make a cardiovascular plaque-producing type food. And also, when you homogenize it, you encourage that same problem. And when you read in a book called The Milk Book, you'll read about the studies done by a man that showed that there's an enzyme that is found in the lining of the arteries where the plaque occurs that is also what occurs in dairy in high amounts. This enzyme is called xanthine oxidase. So when you homogenize milk, you're taking the milk and you're running it through a sieve at high speeds, several hundred miles an hour, and at high temperatures to break down the fat molecules that are going through the tiny little pores in that sieve. And the fat molecules get ripped open, broken down, and wrap around this enzyme called xanthine oxidase, so that the xanthine oxidase survives the digestive process because it becomes protected by the fats. And then once that gets into the bloodstream, this actually dissolves this natural healthy lining along the artery lining called plasmalogen, and you end up with xanthine oxidase taking its place and the beginning of inflammation that now becomes a site where the body wishes to protect itself from blood clots, because if blood flows over a rough surface, you will in turn trigger the platelets to produce fibrin and thus produce clots internally within your blood, which could create a heart attack or a stroke or any number of blood blockages throughout your body. So in order to protect you, your body intelligently lays down the calcium cholesterol material, which is a smooth, slippery surface over which blood can flow without triggering any blood clots. And that is the fundamental reason why the body will produce plaque based upon all the evidence to date. That is the most plausible reason why this is occurring. So whether it's xanthine oxidase from homogenized dairy that's damaging the lining of the artery, or whether it's chlorine, or whether it's cigarette smoke, or whether it's any vegetable oil you cooked, these are all free radical generating substances which, when they're in the bloodstream, will need to balance their imbalanced electron state. They will steal electrons from the cells along the lining of the artery, rupturing and injuring and scarring the intima, which is the lining of the artery, thus causing the body to have inflammation in that area. Inflammation is the natural result of injury. That's what the body does in an effort to try and bring circulation to an area to actually create new tissue to heal the area. But in the case of someone who's not living biologically according to natural laws, the way the body's designed to eat and drink, there's going to be chronic inflammation, and there's going to be chronic inability to heal damaged tissues from free radicals, and thus you create the chronic condition, and the body has to pursue an alternative method of creating a smooth lining rather than creating new intima lining. It just creates plaque. So it would behoove anyone, if they wish to be on this planet a long time in a healthy body, to recognize that there are certain natural laws upon which nature created foods and upon which we're designed to eat them. And the closer you can keep foods to their natural original state, the more you will be in a position to benefit from that food. So when it comes to dairy, this is an important choice that we all need to make, that raw milk from grass-fed cows, non-homogenized, is the way that nature created it, the way that God created it, the way that the baby calf consumes it and thrives on it, and the way that humans have consumed it and thrived on it for thousands and thousands of years. That's the simple facts, and that's one way for you to avoid cardiovascular disease is on that particular subject. And the other topic would be that of vegetable oil. So when we saw in the 1950s cardiovascular disease on the rise, and the government and the various powers that be started to announce that we needed to wage war on this kind of a thing, and that we needed to cut out the cholesterol out of the diet, you saw taking its place vegetable oil and margarine and shortening. With regards to vegetable oil, this is seed oils like corn or sunflower or safflower or soy. There's always in these seeds, in the germ, they're oils. And when they're pressed at 100 degrees or less and stored in dark bottles and kept under refrigeration, then they have a limited shelf life and can be very health-giving to the body. Very health-giving, and in fact essential. But when they are processed at high temperatures, high friction heat, in excess of 200 degrees, and they're extracted with the hexane gas, then they are oxidized and damaged oils. Unfortunately, that high heat and gas extraction process produces an oxidized oil. When that oxidized oil is in your bloodstream, it again will steal electrons off the lining of the artery, creating microscopic lesions or microscopic scarring and consequent inflammation. So actually, cooked vegetable oils take it a step further. You're heating them up, you're oxidizing them even further, and you're creating more of a free radical generating substance. So you have the recommendation from the 1950s forward to substitute saturated animal fats for vegetable oils or shortening or margarine, and the consequent effect of that was to introduce even more cardiovascular disease producing compounds, free radical generating oils. Now with regards to vegetable oils that are safe, When you, again, process them at cold temperatures of 100 degrees or less, and you are not using any of the gases, and you're storing them in dark bottles under refrigeration, now you have a viable oil with all the plant pigments. So some of that oxidation that would naturally occur is going to be protected from occurring by the fact that there's plant pigments, which are antioxidants, within the oil. And now you have the ability to then pour that oil onto your toast, your steamed vegetables, or your salad, or whatever food you want to put it on, or your protein shake, and benefit from it greatly. It's a phenomenal thing. The body needs high amounts of omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids. Seed oils are where you're going to get the best source of those, not fish oils. Fish oils serve a whole nother purpose. Seed oils are what's going to serve the greater purpose in your body for giving your cells the ability to breathe, because the cells require the omega-6 and the omega-3 within the cell wall to allow oxygen into the cells. The more your cells breathe, the more effortlessly you convert food into energy, the more energy you have and the less lactic acid you have, and the whole pH regulation process is improved upon more towards the alkaline pH range, which is what's desirable. So with regards to the saturated fats, the artificially saturated fats like margarine and shortening, these oils are vegetable oils that have had nickel impregnated or put into the actual oil, and then a hydrogen gas run through the oil, and the catalytic reaction of the nickel with the hydrogen creates a hydrogenated. Hydrogen saturates the carbon atom of the vegetable oil, creating an oil that's now hard at room temperature like butter is. And this is a saturated fat. But in the process of doing this, you create trans fats, which the body can't use. They're very toxic, they're very carcinogenic to the body, and basically total death food. It's something you should never consume. So artificially created saturated fats are out. You can't even put those on the table, even though they're still sold in health food stores. Margarines, shortenings, they're all totally unhealthy for you, the man-made hydrogenated ones. But if you go to the naturally saturated vegetable oils or naturally saturated animal fats, and that would be, of course, coconut fat or palm oil, and saturated animal fats would be beef tallow or pork lard. These are naturally saturated. They naturally have hydrogen in their carbon chain, so they're naturally semi-hard to hard at room temperature. And these ones are then protected from oxidation, and therefore the process of a free radical oxidized oil is avoided more so in a saturated fat. So they're more cardiovascular protective to consume the saturated vegetable or animal fats. All right, so those are several causes for cardiovascular disease that we've talked about thus far. And I want to talk about a few more to cover the topic thoroughly so that we know how to protect from cardiovascular plaque and how to reverse it. Another one of the foods that we've all heard so many bad things about for so many years that we need to pay attention to again on this topic is white sugar. White sugar is a poison. It's not a food, and it causes all kinds of problems. Causes you to have excess insulin production. Excess insulin production contributes to excess fat production in the body. The cell of your body is designed to run primarily off of fatty acids as its fuel source. 80% or so is primarily fatty acids, and only 20% is carbohydrate metabolism. So the body doesn't require much carbohydrate. So to give yourself a fiberless, high concentrated sugar, white sugar product devoid of all the nutrients, the vitamins and the minerals, is contributing to fat production in your body. It's contributing to mineral depletion in your body. But it's also been studied on animals and shown to create cardiovascular plaque, to give rabbits and monkeys white sugar. It's also something that causes your blood cells to stick together when you consume sugar in excess amounts. It's fairly well known that white sugar feeds cancer to grow. Also, it's fairly well known that modern day cigarette smoking is toxic to the body, and carbon monoxide is produced from cigarette smoking, which damages the lining of the artery, contributing to the inflammation and the cardiovascular plaque formation. Another less well-known causative factor in cardiovascular disease of all kinds is root canals. So root canals are dead teeth that have 3 million microtubules per tooth. So when your bacteria in your mouth migrate into the microscopic caves in each of your dead teeth, the bacteria seek to do their job, which is to digest and decompose the dead tissue of the tooth. They produce very strong acids and toxins to try and digest this tooth. These toxins, even though in small amounts, leak into your bloodstream and then migrate through your body, depositing into tissues, causing even more extensive damage, contributing to cancer, arthritis, damage of your pancreas, contributing to diabetes, and all kinds of diseases, and damage to the lining of your arteries and cardiovascular disease. There are clinics in Europe that you can go to when you have cancer that one of the first things they do before they will work on you and helping you heal from cancer is they will have you take your root canals out as a mandatory step, because it's futile to try to get your body well, or it's almost futile to try and get your body well if you don't get your root canals removed and if you don't remove the mercury fillings out of your teeth. So what's the best vegetable oil that I recommend people consume in their diet to encourage the healthy cellular function? It's the Vega EFA oil blend. This particular oil is also full of antioxidant oils from other plants, so it's protected from free radical oxidation. It's one of the best oils I've ever used as a food and as a supplement. What things can you do to help reverse any plaque that may have begun to occur in your arteries? Well, I have a little bit of experience with this, and I even have one case history with Ron Polstra. Ron was a man who worked with me about 10, 12 years ago now, that had 70% occluded carotid arteries when he began working with me. And after 12 months, his arteries were 100% clear. And that was, of course, a combination of adhering to a much healthier diet and supplementation. Some of those supplements will be mentioned in the following that I'll be talking about. One of them that I want to introduce you to is the power of an amino acid called arginine. Arginine, when it's converted into some of its other compounds in the body, helps create nitric oxide. Nitric oxide regulates the blood vessel's ability to dilate and also apparently the cleanliness of the arteries. It seems to serve as a protective factor against plaque buildup and potentially as a factor in reversing plaque buildup. Thus far, all the evidence shows that it seems to support and cause the reversal of arterial plaque. So there's a great product we carry called Nitric Oxide Plus that is an arginine powder flavored with citric acid and a little bit of stevia, so you can take a scoop of it twice a day or 3 times a day, and in some water, and it'll taste kind of like a lemonade type drink, very pleasant, and yet you'll promote this fantastic ability to help clean your arteries. And it's also good in some other circumstances where people might be dealing with problems to lower ammonia in their body. Another product that I've worked with for many years to support people's ability to regain their health is a product we now call Synergy 1. This product helps to raise the levels of a key growth factor in your body. And growth factors are really not real well known. People don't talk about them in the nutrition field much at all. But growth factors really deserve a spotlight of attention, because when you can raise the level of growth factor production in your body, you essentially will become much, much younger. Growth factors control the rate at which your body can create protein. They control the rate at which your cells absorb amino acids, and then the cells, after they've absorbed the amino acids, can then create the proteins that regulate that cell's youthfulness, its ability to divide into new cells, the body's ability to create stem cells, the body's ability to create hormones, neurotransmitters. All these things are all about protein synthesis, and the thing that controls that is growth factors. Synergy 1 is a powerful liquid spray product that you spray into the mouth at bedtime and upon arising to help your body raise a key growth factor that in turn helps all protein synthesis improve in the body. And one of the consequent benefits of that would be that wherever there's inflammation, such as along the lining of the artery, you're encouraging the tissues in that area to synthesize the proteins to finally complete their healing, and thus inflammation goes away. So we've had many case histories report back positively about this product. It comes with a money-back guarantee, and it's a star all by itself. The next supplement that I want to introduce you to is basically one you've heard many times over and over about, that has been referred to both as ascorbic acid and also as vitamin C. Ascorbic acid is really just a converted form of cornstarch into a naked molecule, but vitamin C is about 8 compounds that includes P factors, J factors, and flavonoids and tyrosinase, and it's several things that's all basically in a package. And that package has a far more powerful effect on the body than the pure naked ascorbic acid molecule, which still has beneficial effects, but not as strong of an effect as when it comes as packaged the way nature delivers it. So with Mega Food C, we have a food form of vitamin C that contains this whole package. And the reason that's important is because when you want to synthesize new connective tissue proteins, which is the lining of the arteries of your heart or your blood vessel system, you're wanting to create new connective tissue proteins to get rid of the inflammation and get rid of the plaque, then you need the flavonoids along with the vitamin C, along with the trace mineral copper, in order to be able to synthesize the connective tissues and heal the connective tissues. So Mega Food C would be a valuable contribution if you don't already take a good food source vitamin C. And you could be relying upon vegetable juice and raw fruit juice and things like this. Raw vegetable juice, raw fruit juice. Raw means that it's going to have its vitamin C in it. Pasteurized, it'll lost most of it or all of it. So there may be food forms of it already in your diet where you don't need a pill form, but if you need a pill form, this is a great product to include. Next is a product called One World Whey, and I've spoken about it many times, and it continues to deserve this cheerleading advocacy from me and others. It's a very powerful product because it's the only whey protein yet produced on the market that has never been damaged by heat. And whey in and of itself is very rich in a sulfur amino acid called cysteine. This cysteine enables your body to create another peptide or a protein in your body called glutathione. And glutathione is the body's #1 means by which it can detoxify itself of poisons and heavy metals, and it's the #1 means by which it can neutralize free radicals, or it's a primary means of neutralizing free radicals, perhaps even the #1 means of neutralizing free radicals. So your production of glutathione means a lot to neutralize or stop inflammation, thus helping the arteries to heal. It also provides a complete protein that'll support the body's ability to heal arterial lining tissues, as well as other benefits to your musculoskeletal system, to your strength, to fat loss, to normal blood sugar. There's all kinds of systems in the body that whey protein, and in particular, undamaged whey protein from One World Whey, will support in your health goals. Next is a product we've carried for many years called Sugar Burner. Sugar Burner is a trace mineral supplement where the minerals have been reduced down to their angstrom size. So in particles, when you're measuring particle sizes in chemistry, you've got these very tiny ones called angstrom, then you've got larger ones called micron, and then you've got larger ones still from there. These are the smallest, nearly the smallest you can get in the form of a nutritional supplement, meaning they're going to be so small they'll be easily absorbed and easily passed out if the body doesn't need them. With Sugar Burner, you're dealing with a combination of minerals that are going to be able to support your absorption of sugar, glucose. Controlling blood sugar is really important, and one of the reasons that Sugar Burner is so good is because these minerals are not naturally occurring in high enough amounts in our foods anymore. We find that when people take Sugar Burner, they're reporting that their craving for carbohydrates and sugars goes away by about 90%, because they're finally absorbing sugar into the cells efficiently, and so efficiently that they need much less carbohydrates in their diet. The minerals that have been found to be supportive of cardiovascular health are zinc, copper, and selenium, and they're all three in Sugar Burner. So you have one product to derive both blood sugar and cardiovascular protection. One of the other factors about arterial plaque buildup in one's arteries is that the arteries will become calcified as one becomes older. So this calcification is a hardening of tissues that were previously soft. They're supposed to be pliable and flexible, your arteries and other tissues, but as one ages and experiences various stressors and various toxins, the tissues become injured, and rather than healing correctly, the body lays down calcium, so they end up becoming calcified and hard, which is what you don't want. We have a product called Synergy K from Pure Encapsulations, which gives you vitamin K2, both K1 in small amounts and K2 in two forms, the minoquinone 7 and the minoquinone 4. And these two forms of vitamin K2 are what are going to contribute to the production of matrix GLA protein in your body. And matrix GLA protein is what is able to actually remove calcium from the soft tissues, and it's actually been shown in studies to reverse the calcification of the arteries. So here you have a vitamin that nature creates, but isn't in your food supply in high enough amounts that you can take as a supplement that may dramatically help you in this goal of helping to reverse calcification. And another recent rediscovery that I've had is the subject of the blood type diet. So you have this fantastic book that was written by Peter D'Adamo called Eat Right for Your Type. I was introduced to this topic in the 90s, only lightly pursued it, and now I'm actually paying attention to it 100% because it's making such a huge difference in my health personally. My digestion's improved, my energy's improved. I'm just so pleased with the blood type diet results. And when you read this book, Eat Right for Your Type, and you read all the case histories of people with acid reflux, obesity, fatigue, depression, all these things going away completely, and then people feeling fantastic and all their depression going away and all their digestive issues going away and losing body fat and all their energy coming back just from adhering to eating foods that are the most compatible for their blood type. So the whole blood type diet phenomenon, what is so interesting about it is that in nature, foods are full of these chemicals that scientists have labeled lectins, and that if your blood type, say, is an O blood type, you have certain sugars on the surface of your red cells and certain sugars on the surface of your intestinal tract, and most cells, I guess, throughout the body have these sugars on their surfaces. If the food you're eating has lectins in it that are incompatible for your blood type, those lectins will bind to those sugars and cause your red blood cells to stick together and clump up. And when these lectins come in contact with your intestinal tract, you get irritation to your intestines, potential inflammation, and all kinds of problems. Same thing with the rest of your body. Wherever these lectins come in contact, they stick like Velcro to the tissues. The tissues become alarmed, and the whole immune system has to become on alert to go after and patrol and remove all these offending lectins. So this is a huge stress to the body, a huge immune system stress. And instead of your body having the energy for daily living, feeling good, repairing injuries, it's busy trying to take care of the removal of the lectins out of your body all the time. So you can never feel good. So just getting the book, Eat Right for Your Type, reading it, and adhering to the blood type diet can make a huge difference in supporting clean arteries, lots of energy, digestive problems clearing up. And I highly recommend that you pursue this. And based on all my reading of all the diets that you could pursue in the nutrition field, everything from raw food vegetarianism, raw food primal diet, to the Weston A. Price program, this diet has the most efficacious results, the most evidence of efficacious results of any diet I've looked at. And personally, that's what I'm experiencing. So we also have these wonderful little cards that are like sizes of little business cards that open up like trifolds that are for each of the 4 blood types. The O, the AB, and the B blood type all have their own card. On one side of the card lists the beneficial foods that you can look at conveniently when you're shopping or whatever to know which ones you can choose from. And on the other side of the card is the avoid foods so that you know what ones to avoid. The book goes into more detail on the subject, and if you don't know your blood type, we do have these little kits that you can buy for $15, and they're just a home test where you prick yourself, you get your drops of blood out, and you mix them with there's little chemical drops on these cards that you mix your blood drops with, and you end up being able to see the way the blood coagulates from that reaction, and you'll know by the pattern on this chart that's provided what blood type you are. It's a simple home test. You can do it yourself. Then you know, and you can start adhering to the blood type diet for you. There is also a distinction between being a secretor and a non-secretor, which is another part of distinguishing something that is another test you can buy. 80% or so of the population is usually a secretor blood type, and the non-secretor represents about 15 to 20% of the population. So most people are the secretor blood type. So there you have it. I've just covered some of the known causes of cardiovascular disease, and I've also covered some of the known nutritional components that you can bring in to create the kind of health that you want to have and not have to worry about whether or not your arteries might become clogged and plugged up someday. Just to review, the products that we're carrying here for you to consider are Nitric Oxide Plus, Vega EFA Oil Blend, Synergy 1, Megafood Complete C, One World Whey Protein Powder, Sugar Burner, and Synergy K. And then, of course, the book Eat Right for Your Type. I thank you for your attention today on this subject of how to have great cardiovascular health. And we're here 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, East Coast time at 888-988-3325. Thanks for your attention.